Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Recently, I've been talking a lot about how XRP has been substantially outperforming most of the other top 100 coins in the world of crypto for about 3.5 months at this point, and still most people don't know that. By now, I'm sure you listening, you know this, but most people don't. But I have a question for you. Have you noticed that nearly all of the reputable analysts in the world of crypto say that XRP is going to hit a new all-time high? Have you noticed this yet? The only analysts, with rare exception, that I have found that say XRP will not be hitting a new all-time high have a years-long history of bashing XRP irrationally. Claim it's going to fall out of the top 10. In some instances, very gleeful that the SEC attacked Ripple, effectively harming all XRP holders and attacking XRP holders. Outside of that, though, have you noticed that it's almost 100% of analysts in agreement? Yeah, this thing gonna go. And so I understand that a lot of times, like if you're talking about, the world of speculators out there, typically when the crowd agrees, I know that that's very frequently a bad sign. The crowd gets wrong-footed, but no. These are not the typical lemming retail speculators that have the herd mentality. These are individual analysts, many of them they probably don't even consider themselves to be in the XRP community, who finally looked at the chart. Maybe they dusted it off. They haven't looked at it in a long ass time, but they have now. And they're like, oh, holy hell, this thing gonna blow. Like that. That is what I keep seeing. And so I'm going to share with you perspective from, I think, 4, maybe 5 analysts in this video. And they're all like, yeah, it's going to go. Now, so they do put frequently prices out there in terms of where they think it's going to go. They don't all say that this is where they think it's going to peak necessarily. So depending on what they believe there may be some analysts that maybe aren't quite as bullish as a lot of us. And there, on the flip side, there are some where I'm like, yeah, maybe you're right, but that could be a little bit too high. So it really does go both ways. Maybe some are a little bit too low, a little too high. But the truth of the matter is none of us know for sure where the price of XRP is going to go. And so it's anyone's guess, and I think it's perfectly reasonable to speculate. I mean, there is such a thing as going bonkers with this and saying like XRP is going to hit $1,000 this market cycle. That's just completely unreasonable. But speculating, and if you're operating in good faith, whatever you think, even if I'm not completely convinced of where you think it's going to peak, even if that's the case, it's still very clear that almost everyone agrees this thing, XRP, is going to hit a new all-time high. So anyway, I'm going to share with you a bunch of examples here, but before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so it is early in the morning as I record this video, 3:08 a.m. Central Time. It's a time zone in the good old Midwest here in the United States. And it is, what the hell day is it? Thursday, September 26, 2024, XRP is 59 cents. Bitcoin just a hair above $64,000. Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 50 out of 100. So we did fall out of greed, which we were briefly in yesterday, but market's feeling neutral. And that's good because I don't sleep easy knowing that there's a bunch of lovable, cuddly little lemming retailers out there living in fear, having trouble sleeping and just curled up in a ball in the fetal position, perhaps. I don't take joy in that. But I do count on them making important financial decisions with their feels. That is part of my investment strategy. Just another way of saying that is I expect people to people. That's pretty much it. Humans keep acting the same way. We have data in the stock market showing this going back over 100 years, and we have 15 years of data in the world of crypto. People gonna people, man. I am counting on them to continue to act like they always freaking have, which is to say irrationally in times of market exuberance and excitement. But take a look at this one from the Crypto Basic. Chartist reveals time frame for XRP push to $6.30. So Hentus, a market analyst in Crypto Chartist, believes XRP has the potential to surpass its current all-time high by nearly twofold in the coming months. And I don't want to read the whole article. It's really not necessary. I happen to not be familiar with this analyst, not that it necessarily matters. But got quite a following here, 156,600 followers, very respectable. And so he's showing this price of XRP against the dollar here. And I've seen lots of charts that look the same or similar to this. And one of the things that was actually pointed out in the article from the Crypto Basic is something that I point out from time to time, which is worth repeating in an instance like this, which is you may feel like, my God, this XRP thing, it's just never going to go. We've been waiting. It's been almost 7 freaking years since the last all-time high. My God, dear baby sweet Jesus, when this thing gonna pop? Which I think is fair enough to wonder. And I understand how some people can be frustrated. I personally am not. I'm just as patient as the day I first purchased XRP in November of 2017. And I mean that. And the reason I'm like that is because that's my mindset for investing in general. That is what it takes to be successful, because if your emotions get the best of you, what are you going to do? And then what? You make important investment decisions based on how you feel. Like, you want your Lambo now, so you're going to just pitch a fit, just be like a little baby back biatch and complain about it, and then maybe sell. Like, I mean, you do you. I'm not telling you what to do. But to me, I'm going to see this thing through. Either I'm wrong and this thing goes to zero before I have a chance to sell, or I'm right, and at some unknown point in the future, XRP does hit a new all-time high. And you know what I'm betting on? But we're not the first humans to have to wait a really freaking long time for XRP to go absolutely berserk. So consider that as soon as XRP was launched, so it would have been, I always forget this. It could have technically been late 2012. I think it was technically early 2013. But either way, the point is, it took almost, from the time XRP was tradable, it took almost 5 years for XRP to go absolutely insane. Prior to that happening, there was one notable instance where XRP did go from about half a penny early on in its history to about 6 cents. So a 12-fold increase, that's notable. And then it cratered back on down. It got back down to about half a cent, to the best of my recollection anyway. And then it just fluttered sideways for years and years. It must have been a dead coin then. It was never going to go, right? I mean, if it hasn't gone after years and you wanted your Lambo sooner than a few years, then surely it's dead, right? Is that how this works? No, that's stupid. STOOPID, stupid. This thing did rocket. Now, of course, this is longer than 5 years, but who says that you can't have a consolidation period that's longer? Of course you can, and we're in it right now. But there are some interesting things to note, and good reason for this. I'm not surprised that it's longer, being aware of what has happened over the years. Mind you, XRP came off of an 80,000% rally from the bottom to the top of that market cycle in 2017. 80,000%. It's right around there anyway. That's insane. So to think that it needed a couple cycles to cool off, fine. I can buy that. I can buy that. But more importantly, we were under attack from the SEC. Of course that impacted it. So the fact that we're waiting this long, not surprising. And XRP, it's not like it was just going to pop off like between the bottom, like a bottom of a bear market and the peak of a bull cycle. Like, it's not just going to run on its own. Historically, it never has. Which means that since we missed the last cycle in terms of hitting a new all-time high, all you could do is wait for another cycle, which we know historically takes 4 years. So the fact that we've had to wait more than 5 years, given that is indeed the case, that's the way the math works, shouldn't be surprising in my estimation. Shouldn't be surprising at all. But none of it, just because we've been consolidating waiting this long, none of that in and of itself means that we know XRP, what XRP is going to do. It doesn't mean it's going to go to zero, and it also doesn't mean it's going to hit a new all-time high. It just means it's consolidating, and you can make your own assumption about what you think is likely. I've already said what I think. I think ultimately new all-time high, but look at this thing. It has just been consolidating literally for years on end. And so the people in that 2017, leading up to that 2017 pop, the people that, mind you, some of them did buy it in 2013, they got to have theirs. And so the people that were patient, they got the craziest returns because XRP was the best performer in the entire asset class for that particular cycle. The number one. But you wouldn't know it right before that because all that happened is it just wasn't going. But look at the symmetrical triangle leading up to the 2017 pop. Look at this. It's the same things happening literally right now. Look at, you can even compare, even if you just go back to the last market cycle. Inside of the symmetrical triangle, the range, so the amount of volatility, it's actually, the range is decreasing here. You can clearly see that. And the apex, for those who look on the screen, it's where I'm circling right here. And as is typically the case in charting, I know this even though I'm not a chart guy, typically, an asset will break before hitting the apex, and that certainly was true with XRP. Rocket to the upside. That was the first major run in 2017. And then there's another one at the end of 2017, of course, getting to the all-time high of near $4 in early 2018. But all this happened, so it certainly was volatile. It must have felt like hell. Like, oh my God, especially when other coins are popping up. My God, what are we doing? It's XRP thing. It's 2014. Is it even going to work? Well, now another decade has passed, and obviously it's one of the most adopted and useful cryptocurrencies in all of history. So I would argue that it was way more risky back then when you really, like, we have the benefit of knowing this is in place. There's a developer community, there's a broader XRP community. It's using enterprise grade software. It's great for payments, broadly speaking. Institutions are adopting all these things, and more bells and whistles coming to layer 1 on the XRP ledger. We have the benefit of understanding that, but a decade ago, you didn't really have that stuff. Like, maybe it'll one day be used for something. Like, even Ripple wasn't using it for anything at that point. They hadn't developed what is now RippleNet utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. They hadn't done it yet. It took them years even just to get the pilot program out using XRP as a bridge currency. And so back then, it's like, well, it's a new thing. I don't know. Is anybody going to use it? That would have been way more terrifying than the moment that we're in. And they had to wait for years with that extra level of uncertainty compared to what we have now. So I don't know about you, but I feel pretty good about it. So anyway, he says loading $5 to $6. Now, I don't know for sure if that's where he's saying the peak is or if that's just going to be the first major burst. But even if he does say peak, it's just one more analyst saying it makes sense that XRP would hit a new all-time high. And I know if that's the peak that a lot of people would find that disappointing, but maybe that's way too conservative, even if that is where he thinks it's going to top off. It could be. I don't know. But I just keep thinking back to the multiplier effect that Ethereum had from the 2017 cycle compared to the 2021 cycle. And my God, I mean, it had over a threefold increase. So, if you think about that for XRP, where would that put us? Over $10, so you'd be in double digits, if that's to repeat. Either way, I'm saying that it's possible. If you look at the amount of money that, cycles through the space, it's totally plausible. And I still wonder if we'll look back and think, well, maybe even $10 was conservative. And I don't know. I'm going to find out with the rest of you. But it makes you wonder, right? So either way, the point is this is an XRP bull, another one, and this is what I keep finding. Anytime I find an analyst that says XRP's crap, it's not going to go, I look at their history, and I find that they have always hated XRP for reasons, just because reasons. And then we have this from the Crypto Basic. Expert predicts XRP price of Ethereum hits $10,000, Solana $950, and BNB $1,700. And this is another analyst who I wasn't familiar with, but I'm trying to make a broader point here. It's very difficult to find analysts who weren't previously biased that think XRP isn't going to go. That's why I'm highlighting this. And so you may think that some of this, they're like, they're not thinking big enough, and in which case I'd say you might be right. If XRP only hits $5, I'd be a bit disappointed. I mean, I'd be glad it hit a new all-time high, so okay, it's not broken, but that would be a bit disappointing, even for me, because I want to do most of my scaling out between $5 to $8. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I'll wait, whatever, fine. If I got to wait another 4 years, another 8 years, whatever the hell, whatever it takes, I'm going to see this thing through. But, so anyways, this chart analyst named Erwin, and I wrote, here are my price targets for the huge bull run that's about to start, and listed a bunch of cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, including ETH. And so it is contingent upon Bitcoin hitting that, because Bitcoin leads the market, of course. And so he noted, he's expecting Bitcoin to hit $120,000, and that sounds reasonable. Most of the analysts that I follow think that Bitcoin might peak somewhere around $120,000 to $150,000, and some do think higher, and we'll find out who's right. You got ETH at $10,000, and if that happens, they're saying with the amount of money flowing through the crypto space, XRP would peak at $5. So again, it's another analyst that says, yes, new all-time high for XRP, so I'll give credit for that. If you're talking about it really only peaking about right at $5, again, I'm kind of skeptical of it being that low. I'm kind of skeptical. I don't pretend to know. I'm not making a prediction. I'm just telling you, just having lived in the world of crypto here and seen what's possible, and understanding if Bitcoin goes that high, the amount of money flowing through this entire space, and knowing the degree to which XRP has been price suppressed for so many years on end, I'd be, yes, disappointed, but a little surprised. Now, if we don't have a proper alt season, then if XRP doesn't even hit a new all-time high, then I wouldn't be surprised. But if we have a proper alt season, and you're talking about Bitcoin going up to $120,000 even, yeah, I would think that XRP would go, right? I think that's pretty reasonable. But either way, whether you think that's too low or not, and I do think that's probably too conservative if we're going to have a proper alt season anyway. Even so, again, it's another analyst who's like, is going to go, though. Just take it for what it's worth. This is what I keep finding. That's why I said at the outset of the video, I had the question. Have you noticed nearly all reputable analysts in the world of crypto say XRP is going to a new all-time high? Have you noticed that? Because I'm noticing that. And it's extra fun to find the ones that, they regularly chart stuff like on a daily basis, but they don't really pay attention to XRP, but then they finally look at it again for the first time since who knows when, and they're like, oh my God. And then they recognize, and they're like, oh my God, I haven't looked at this so long. This thing's about to pop. Those are the fun ones, the most fun to read, actually, when they just have this realization like, oh my God, should have been looking at this a little sooner, right? And then they go out and buy a bunch of XRP. And I've highlighted those examples on my channel of those particular analysts. It's just kind of entertaining. And then there's this one. Expert says, prepare for XRP violent crash as weak trend line and extended distribution spell trouble. Seasoned analyst Jack Is, who has been active in financial markets for a decade, recently issued a stark warning regarding the outlook of XRP. Wait a minute, but Moonlambo, you said that this was about people that were pro XRP. I did. And it is. Which is why it's actually really strange that the Crypto Basic has that headline and wrote the article the way they did. So I'll show you the chart that they end up referencing. I saw it a couple days ago and actually posted about it, and then the next day this post from the Crypto Basic came out, and it's a little bit weird. Because here, let me just show you the chart. I'll make this full screen for you. This is from chart analyst Jack Is, shared this with his 136,900 followers. XRP priced against the dollar, and he wrote the following. The breakdown will be violent. I highly recommend hedging yourself once this crypto coin XRP crashes. The trend line is super weak and the distribution is too long. And so on the surface, you read that like, oh my God, this guy thinks he's got so many followers. He doesn't think XRP's going to make it? Oh my God. Well, should we be concerned? No, I don't think we should. In fact, so I reposted this and I pointed out that this is an inverted chart. He's joking. He's having a little bit of fun for the lulz. You see how the prices, if the chart goes down, see how the prices get higher here? He inverted it and he's having fun with it. That's all he did. It's still XRP priced against the dollar, and he's had a bunch of other posts where he's been clearly very pro XRP. But he thinks it's going to be worth a fortune. Now, in this particular chart, he's not making an actual price prediction. He's just kind of pointing, hey, here, XRP over $1. He's talking about in the short term. He thinks it's going to go much, much higher than that. But that's, again, yet another analyst, and he more recently found out about this. I think I did share one of his posts before in recent weeks. I just recently started following this guy. But a lot of analysts that I respect were following him, so I was like, okay, I'll give him a shot. Let's see what happens here. But he more recently was like, oh yeah, I'm in XRP. So he's not somebody that was maybe like you and I regularly following this, but then he looked at it, he's like, oh my God, this thing's going to go. There's one of those, right? And so when he says, hey, this thing's going to crash. And so the funny thing about the Crypto Basic article is they write the first like 2/3 of the article as though that is this analyst's stance. They're like, yeah, it's going to go. Here's the chart. He's just saying it's going to go. It's going to crash. And so that would lead the reader at that point to think, wow, this analyst thinks it's going to go. Should I be concerned? And then you get to the tiny little end bit here, and it says, a closer look at Jack's analysis. And then they note, yeah, it's actually just inverted. And he thinks it's going to go higher. Well, what the hell are you doing, the Crypto Basic? Like, what the hell? And I liked the Crypto Basic, but I was just like, my God. Like, I can't imagine writing an article where most of it is like, this is what the analyst says, and it's really bad, especially knowing that most people aren't necessarily even going to read the whole thing. So then they have this false impression. I'm just like, come on, dude. Anyway, that's what they did, though. Then there's this one. XRP rejected at 60 cents, but cup and handle formation suggests imminent rally. And so on this one, this is another analyst who I wasn't necessarily familiar with, but that's just kind of to point out, I can't find analysts who are unbiased that think XRP doesn't make sense. Now, on this one, it might be the opposite. Maybe he's not too conservative, but maybe he's targeting a little bit higher than might be the most reasonable. I can't say outright that he's wrong if he thinks it could potentially hit this peak, but so here's the deal. Let me make this full screen. So XRP USD chart. And Steph's Crypto wrote, XRP is on the verge of the most significant price move in its entire history. Don't sleep on this massive opportunity. Okay, so I won't be surprised, certainly, if in terms of dollars, this is the greatest move XRP has ever had. I could buy that that's a reasonable probability here. Now, he's got this gray bar here. I think that the intention is to point out that he thinks that it's probably going to land somewhere in here, but the upper end is close to like almost $39. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible for that to happen this cycle, but I will say, if that's going to happen, then Bitcoin is going to have to melt faces to a way greater degree than what the analysts that I follow tend to think is probable. I mean, yeah, if Bitcoin goes to like $250,000, $300,000, if it does, well, my God, the amount of money that's going to be flowing through the entire crypto space will be off the charts. So, you know, if you're talking about something like that happening, which is not what I'm counting on, by the way, but if, okay, fine, maybe something kooky happens with XRP and it just goes completely bananas. I'm not counting on it. I don't think it's reasonable to think that that should be like the base case for what happens with XRP. You start to lose me a little bit there. Even in the extreme case, it's like, okay, I mean, maybe, but do we really think Bitcoin's going to go that high this cycle? I mean, I won't technically say no. I won't say it's completely insane, but do I think it's probable? No, I haven't seen enough from any reputable analyst out there to sway me to think that's what's most probable to occur. No, I don't think that at all. I mean, it'll be great if Bitcoin gets over 6 figures at all. That'd be fantastic, frankly, because that would be enough for altcoins, including XRP, to go crazy. Not $39 crazy, I wouldn't guess anyway, but yeah, way higher. So it depends on which analyst you talk to. Some of them I look and I'm like, you might be a little bit conservative, but I mean, who knows? And then on the flip side, you see this and you're like, okay, maybe directionally you're also correct, but maybe you're a little overly ambitious. I don't know. I mean, I'd love for him to be correct. But either way, again, the point is, if you think XRP makes sense, you are not a kook. You are not in Looney Tunes land. Every reputable analyst that I find keeps saying, yeah, it's going to go. It's going to go. And it's not just people that you find on social media that think this makes sense. I keep highlighting also on an institutional level. You know, CEOs from various investment firms, all sorts of stuff. Yes, XRP does make sense. There's a reason it is where it is and has existed for over a decade and remained in the top 10 coins by market cap the whole time, despite a multi-year attack from the SEC, and it has utility. Yeah, I think that we might be onto something here. Duh. And it'll just look obvious in hindsight to the rest, but I think that you get it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.